What about pricing strategies? Like, so, we're talking about like benchmarks, and we have like, I know you said 45% for the margins for the top people, but you really like easy numbers, just shoot for 50%, 10% sales. I think you said 7.5 for the production manager. And then, 10 or so percent for marketing, 15% for the owner. And so if to get to that point, if someone's struggling with enough, like what are some pricing strategies that can help contractors like get to those numbers?
Yeah.
Not talking about the branding side of things. I know like, the businesses that aren't marketing, they're going to struggle to command those right prices. And we mentioned that a second ago, but just from the pricing side and the number side, what are some tips so you can give people to kind of help them get to those right numbers?
Yep. So I think there's many ways to generate it. I think the most reliable that I see, the folks that have really dialed it in, they're using production rates, which I know we just talked about, but
Yeah.
which is basically how long does it take to paint any particular surface. Now, once you know how many hours it's going to take your team to produce a project, then it's just some relatively simple math. You take the amount of hours and then you multiply it by your labor rates. So how much do
Mhm.
you pay your folks? But then you also tag on like the burden, which is just like the payroll taxes that you have to pay
Mhm.
and the workers' comp. So, even though you might pay your painter $25
It's going
per
to cost you
hour,
as a business owner more than that because all the
right?
other stuff goes in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
So
might
you're
actually,
talking about calculating not just what they get paid, but your total cost of payroll per hour. So
right.
what they get paid plus the federal unemployment, state unemployment, withholdings, work comp, all that other stuff that goes along with being a business owner, taking that total cost as a per hour increment, and then figuring out, okay, well, it takes X amount of hours to do Y amount of walls, and now here's my cost, and that's my production rate. Is that
Right.
it, basically?
Yeah. Right. It's usually for that additional burden is usually an additional 20%. It matters. There's a whole bunch of factors on where that number come from, but around 20%. So if you're
So for
paying,
every $100 you spend, it's really costing you 120.
yeah, basically.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then you take that labor rate, let's say it's $30, that fully loaded burden labor rate, $30 an hour, multiply it by how many hours for the project. So if it's 100 hours, it's a $30 per hour labor rate that you have. That's was $3,000. And then you put your markup, which is if you're shooting for 50% gross profit margin, that's 100% markup. So
Yep.
basically double, like you had said, you double it. And you don't just double the labor, you also want to double the material. Some folks,
Yeah.
there's a common mistake we see is
Yeah,
they
because you
don't.
said labor should be about 35%, and
Mhm.
if you're 2xing, then the materials would be 15%. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some common mistake is that they don't put a markup on the materials. And so the gross profit ends up taking a big hit because they
Why,
didn't
why
put
do
any
you why
markup
do
on
you
the
what
materials.
would you recommend marking up for the materials, and why should they mark up the materials? Because I know plenty of guys that are like, well, I make my money on my labor, and if I spend $1,000 on paint, I'm just going to charge a client $1,000. Why is that a bad idea? Like,
Yeah, I recommend 100% markup on materials because if you want to get a 50% gross profit margin, uh, you have to do 100% markup. So
okay.
even on the materials. Um, yeah, and that's just starting out 50%. 50% gross profit margin is kind of like what you should be shooting for starting out, and it really should grow up. Hopefully, you're getting closer to 60 and 65% as you get larger and bigger.
Okay.
Command a stronger sales process. Uh, but yeah, 100% markup on labor and materials.
Awesome. Um, what about, if someone's got the pricing dialed in and they got these margins, which by the way, side question, do you have like any like a document or cheat sheet or download or anything with all these margin numbers that we could give people? Like, do you have anything like that on like your website or anything?
Yes, I do have one. I do have one. Yes. I will. I'll have to shoot you the link to it if that's all right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I mean, I would like to see it, and I'm sure there's some other people here watching that would like to see it too. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, some people might just forget. I like having little cheat sheets for all of my information, just kind of almost like post-its or checklists, just to kind of make it easy to remember.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so if someone's got those numbers dialed in, that I mean, that's gonna be huge already because like I mean, I know you see it, but I see it too on the marketing side. I see people like struggle with understanding marketing costs, and it's not because they can't afford marketing, it's because they're not pricing to include marketing. You know what I mean? Like if they're just charging too little and they don't have enough money to put back into it. Um, let's just say someone has those numbers dialed in. After pricing? What's after that
Yeah.
to help them make the most money? I'm assuming
Yeah.
tax stuff, right?
It can be taxes. Sometimes it's cash flow. So like you might, maybe your margins are dialed in, but you're struggling with cash. And so
Mm,
it, it could be, a couple of things. So for cash flow, what we usually ask is, are you taking a deposit? Um, are you taking money down once you close the work? A lot of folks don't want to take.
Hey, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you're looking for help growing your contracting business, I invite you to join my free community. In there, we go live with amazing trainings, share resources and downloads, plus you get free help from me and from peers. That link is down below to join, and we'll see you in the next video.